hello everyone, and welcome back into Studio B. My name is Jyoti Baini, and thank you for joining me for this short yin practice that's all about embracing the idea of new beginnings. And what we'll learn through the course of this approximately 30 to 40 minute practice is that every breath is a new beginning. And so if you find yourself struggling with the idea of starting over, of beginning again, just know that you already have the intelligence of how to begin over and over and over again, just by the nature of being in relationship with your breath. Let's begin this yin practice in a somewhat unique way in the one and only standing yin posture, which is the dangling pose. So I'm going to turn to the side here, and you can begin building this dangling pose from the ground up. So tucking the toes, you'll let the heels come to the mat, lifting the seat to the ceiling, and then letting everything from the seat to the crown of the head melt to the floor. And if you find that the arms or the torso are dangling somewhat uncomfortably in space, you could bring in a block, placing the hands there for support. You could also bring in a bolster, turning it whichever way feels most supportive, and finding some rest there. Knowing that you have permission to bring the feet as wide as you'd like to bring them, to find some degree of comfort in the shape. You might allow the mind to scan down the back of the legs here. Maybe welcoming in some softness by gently bending the knees. And allowing the abdomen to just lay itself right atop the surface of the thighs. You might let the chin drop towards the chest, a bit elongating the back of the neck. Noticing any shakiness or vibration in the legs and knowing that that is completely normal. Taking 3 more breaths in this opening, dangling pose. And then begin to gently lift the head as we bring the body to the floor, walking the hands slightly forward and gently lowering the knees to the mat. We'll transition into toe squat, which is everybody's favorite yin pose. And I say that tongue in cheek with a bit of sarcasm. So we're going to keep all 10 toes tucked here, even that little pinky toe. And a few options you might find here. So you might bring the forearms down so that there's not quite as much body weight on the feet here, particularly if this is already intense for you. If you'd like to explore a little bit more sensation, you can walk the hands up the thighs, taking the shoulders and stacking them atop the hips. And then if you're finding yourself struggling to ground a bit, you might place the palms down on the thighs. Or if if you're wanting to have more receptive, open energy, you might flip the palms to face up. And this can be a very intense shape. So knowing you could always back out of it a bit if you need to reintroduce some compassion, some softness. And really nurturing the breath here. Knowing that every breath is a new beginning. As we prepare to come out of this toe squat, we're going to walk the hands forward, and without doing anything else, simply lift the feet off of the mat. Just let that blood run back to the toes, and then gently squeeze the toes tightly. There might be a little achiness there, totally normal, and spread the toes far apart from one another. Do that one more time. Squeeze them tightly and spread apart. Beautifully done. Let's take the seat and bring it in the middle of your mat as we prepare to come into Dragonfly pose. So I am going to have my block for this particular pose. Take my legs out wide in a V shape. And we want to feel some sensation in the inner thighs here, the inner leg. So you find the degree of opening that feels like there's enough sensation, but it's not too intense. And then we'll begin to walk ourselves forward. And this is going to be one of the longer holds in our practice today. So you don't need to get to the edge of your range of motion straight away. You have time to let this really marinate. Sometimes the idea of beginning again can feel overwhelming. The uncertainty of a new beginning can conjure fear, anxiety, a sense of overwhelm, and even paranoia. And there are some seasons in life where we feel like we are constantly in a place of needing to begin again and again. And so there's a sense of exhaustion at the idea of having to begin another time. And so begin by just allowing yourself to normalize any and all of those reactions, knowing that that just means you're human if you're feeling some of those things. But if we are to approach the breath as a teacher, viewing the breath as a guide and an instructor, And we might begin to just view every inhale as a new beginning. And every exhale as an ending. Every inhale, a new beginning. And every exhale, an ending. Recognizing that the breath itself is communicating that life is a cycle of things beginning and ending over and over again. Keeping the jaw soft, the face relaxed, the breath smooth and even. Final few breaths here. Knowing that we've been here for several minutes, take your time to slowly walk the torso back upright, and maybe just pause for a breath or two. If the eyes are closed, you can open them. And we're going to transition into caterpillar pose. But I'm actually going to give you two options for this pose today. So let's gently close these nice wide legs. Now the first option is traditional caterpillar position, which is the legs extended out in front of you. And folding the torso over the legs, letting the spine round like a caterpillar curling over the surface of a leaf. Now, for those of you that are interested in going upside down today, I'm going to offer Snail Pose, which is the same exact shape as caterpillar, but upside down. So if you'd like to come into Snail Pose, please come to lie on your back. Begin by just elongating the legs up towards the ceiling. And then to come into Snail, you'll gain just enough momentum in the legs to swing them up and overhead. And then letting the spine round. So unlike shoulder stand, we're not trying to get the hips over the shoulders. Instead, we're letting the spine round the same way a snail curves inside of its shell.
So whether you're in caterpillar or snail pose, nurturing that soft, complete breath. Every inhale a new beginning. Every exhale an ending. Following the breath. Less than a minute to go here. If you're in snail pose, you might use the hands as support to gently guide the spine back onto the mat. Taking a moment with the legs reaching up to the ceiling. If you're in caterpillar pose, you can lengthen the crown of the head forward, floating up. Wherever you are, we'll make our way up to a seated position to set ourselves up for our next posture, which is going to be the fish pose. So we will use our bolster for this one. And there's a couple of different options. So for those of you that want more support, you're going to have the bolster running the length of the spine so that the whole spine and the head will be on the bolster. If you're wanting a more active back bend, then you can have the bolster so that it's running widthwise, and the head will dangle a little bit lower than the heart in this variation. So I'm going to take that variation, but with a little bit of a cushion for my head. And then lying back, this beautiful counter position. And perhaps noticing how differently the breath feels in the body when you're in this open-hearted orientation. It's such a beautiful representation that even though the breath is always there, the body is always breathing itself, that the experience of the breath can be quite radically different depending on what we're experiencing or what shape the body is in. The same way, every new beginning has its own sort of tone, its own sort of feeling or experience to it. So the same way, there's a uniqueness
every breath. There's a uniqueness to each new beginning. Allowing yourself one more breath here. And then to come out, you might like to bend one knee and then the other. And then roll onto your favorite side of the body. And eventually come up to seated. I'm going to move my bolster. We're going to do one final posture of a spinal twist before we take our rest. So moving any props out of the way and coming onto the back. You can hug the knees into your chest and give them a hug like you mean it. Might just feel really nice, like it is in my body right now, to have the spine flat on the mat. My body is saying, "Aw, thank you." And then a very simple twist here, taking the arms out wide and dropping the knees over to the right. Just taking about 5 to 7 breaths here. Again, noticing any uniqueness about the breath when the torso is twisted. Seeing if you can greet each inhale as its own unique beginning. Just noticing your own body's intelligence and being able to skillfully manage the breath in all of these different positions. And then as you're ready, draw the knees back into center, maybe pause for a breath or two. And then as you're ready, letting the knees fall over to the left. Just witnessing your own body's knowing at how to manage new beginnings. That there is this intuitive knowing of how to start over, how to begin again. The body itself is teaching you how to begin again with grace, with flexibility, with an allowance for things being as they are.
every inhale a new beginning. Every exhale an ending. And then slowly coming back to center. We'll do one final thing, locating your block. And we're going to take the block and place the ridge of the block right at the occipital ridge, which is that place where the base of the skull and the neck meet. And you should feel like if you've ever gotten a massage, the massage therapist will put their fingers on that occipital ridge and lift up and pull. So as you let the weight of the head rest here, we're gently providing that traction of lifting the weight of the skull off of the spine and the neck for a moment. There's all sorts of tension points there. And if it feels interesting, you can always let the head drift to one side, exploring any yummy sensations there. Letting the head maybe drift in the other direction. No rush. There's incredible power and subtlety here. Coming back to center. And we'll remove the block and prepare to shift into Shavasana. If you have a blanket or a pillow, anything that you would like to use to get the body totally comfortable, you are welcome to bring any of that support in. You might scan the feet, calves, the knees, and the thighs, releasing any of the remaining tension there. And scan the buttocks and the pelvis, the abdomen and the chest, letting go of any of the remaining tension there. Scan the hands and the forearms, the elbows and the upper arms, melting away any of the remaining tension. And finally, scanning the shoulders and the neck, the face and the brain, releasing all of the tension remaining in your entire body. recognizing that you are not your physical body and you are not the thoughts in your mind, but that you are a pure and peaceful consciousness, and that resides within you always. Without moving your body, allow your next breath in to be a beautiful new beginning. And then as you're ready, allow gentle movement to enter the fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. Perhaps extending the arms overhead for a full body stretch. And then in your own way and in your own time, making your way back up to a comfortable seat. And we'll settle in for just a moment to close our practice, finding a place where the body is comfortable and still, maybe reclosing the eyes. And locating the breath in the body. Every inhale, a new beginning. Every exhale, an ending. A constant reminder that we know how to begin again and again. And again. Please bring the palms of the hands together to seal our practice. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. Jai Shri Sakru Maharaj Ki.